Last month I loaded my kids in the car, drove 1 hour to trade 3 of my Pokemon cards for a single Umbreon. It was this card. The negotiations took a whole week. The trade took 10 minutes. Let me walk you through the whole thing. About 3 months ago, I saw this Umbreon Skyridge card in a high grade, a card that I really wanted, but I didn't have the cash, so I just followed the listing. And this was the Umbreon card that I just couldn't forget. One month, maybe 2 months later, I saw that the card was still for sale, so I decided to dig in a bit deeper, and I saw that he was actually open for a partial trade. That means that I bring both some cash and some cards, if it was quality cards. I was still low on cash, but I decided to send him my trade list. And fortunately for me, he came back with some options. And it escalated quickly from there. It was at that point that I decided to share the interaction with my children. My 2 oldest boys is 6 and 12, and I really wanted to share this experience with them, bring them in on the negotiations and the anticipation and everything. During the week, the negotiations went back and forth, and he came back with some different options with different cards and different cash amounts and different prices for the Umbreon, depending on how many cards that I wanted to trade and how much cash that I needed to put on the table. But I was really low on cash, so I ran the numbers again and again, and I talked it through with my wife, and I talked with the kids, and I ran the numbers again, and then finally we settled on an option. It was 3 of my cards plus a lot of cash, but I had one problem. I didn't really have the cash. I had to be very creative, and I just scraped together all the accounts, my seller accounts, my bank accounts. I even found a drawer in the closet where I had some cash savings. And in the end, 2 days before we actually met, I finally got all the cash I needed for the transaction, and we were ready to go. But my accounts would be almost depleted afterwards, so I would have to take some time to recover. We decided to meet at his place, and I asked if I could bring the kids, and he was okay. We had a deal. After about a week of negotiations, we finally settled on a deal. Now it was time for the trade. I packed the car, made lunch packs, brought the kids, and we drove 1 hour to meet this guy. We met him outside his door, and he was really nice to the kids, and he brought us inside. We lined up all the cards on the kitchen table. Both the kids and me and the seller took some time to look through the cards and just small talking a bit. And then we were ready to make the deal. I took out all my my physical cash and handed it over. I handed over the cards. Now I just needed to make a bank transfer. It was a rather big amount. We were both a bit nervous when I had to enter the numbers. I checked through the numbers and he checked through the numbers, and finally we transferred the money. But an error occurred in the app, and it was just complete silence afterwards. And we laughed nervously because I could see that the money was reserved, but it still said that there was an error. So for the next 2 minutes, the anxiousness grew, and I just felt my stomach drop. He kept updating his net bank to see if the transfer cleared, but nothing happened. And then finally, the transfer cleared, and we were good to go. So the handshake was made, and the deal was done, and we were just so relieved afterwards. And here it is. He told me that actually his wife, before he drew to the trade, told him that she just couldn't understand why my wife would allow me to spend so much money on a Pokemon card. And then he told me that he understand how special this card was, because it was a card from his own childhood collection that he had with a friend, And in 2021, he actually bought out his friend's stake in the card for a fifth of what the price was now. When we went out into the freezing cold, I just had to double check that I actually had remembered the card. And walking to the car, I had to check multiple times because I was just so nervous. I even was afraid that I would drop the card. At the car ride home, we just celebrated and talked about the trade, talking about how important it is to take some risk in your life and have conviction, even though life can't give you any guarantees. Now, 1 month has passed, and to be honest, I'm still actually recharging and building up my cash position. But I still feel that sometimes it's really important to make a big swing that can actually make an impact on your life. Free cards I was ready to let go. Like in Monopoly, sometimes you just have to trade in the small greenhouses for the one big red hotel. And every time I look at this card, I just feel so proud and satisfied, and I knew I made the right decision. Do you have a big deal that you have been holding off that you need to pull the trigger on, that could really make an impact in your life? Let me know in the comments. And if you have watched so far and want more of these stories, then please subscribe and like or share. It really helps the channel to grow. Thank you.